Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream, 2 in 2 nights. Well, if you enjoy what we do, you're kind of lucky. If you don't, then I don't
You wouldn't
know.
be here in the first place.
Very true, very true. I have Andy with me tonight and another special guest, our friend Mark, who some of you may remember from the New Year's Eve stream. And
Hello, everyone.
of course, today we're again talking a sort of hot topic at the moment of Christine Chan, and we discussed a lot about the ethics of it last night. And actually, because some of you may not have ever seen any Chris Chan material, so I put something together today. But it started out as sort of this is going to be Chris Chan's life and how he's become to this, and then I just ended up editing mostly one of his videos, and it didn't come off as the kindest thing, but it's quite funny. So I'm going to show you guys now, and then we'll go into the discussion. You guys with me on Discord, you're not going to be able to hear it because I'm playing it through OBS Studio, so I don't know if you want to put headphones in and put the sound on or just wait. You should be able to see. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. Just a few minutes of sort of a brief, very brief, condensed Christory.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and dudes of all teenagers, as well as the gals. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Christian Chandler Show. Where you get lots of laughs and all that deal stuff. Now here he is, the host with the most, Christian Chandler. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the Christian Chandler Show. I am your host, Christian Chandler. Enough in English class? You have got to be kidding me. I mean an F. I do not even know when was the last time I got an F. I mean, who knows? It could have been back in old Greene County. That stupid place. Eesh. That Greene County primary. Actually, it was a nice school, but then it came to Green Elementary. That's why I got the F. Anyway, then many years rolled by. Then you came along and gave me an F. I mean, I started off with an A, and you just lowered it. I'm getting sick and tired of this lower thing. What do you have against the handicapped children anyway? I mean, I know my handicap is autism, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And you, Mrs. Bird, I think that F is very disrespectful. I mean, I am very emotional about it.
I've had only few male acquaintances, and they've definitely turned me off. The majority of them. Women are so kind and sweet. And you don't have to look at any of them in bikinis or in a nude to fail to see the beauty. And I understand the ladies. I understand the women. But anyway, getting over to the women, you can definitely see the sheer brilliance of their delightful. And yet some of them can turn and be very distraught. But we have to learn to abide by them. Never gonna give you up. I can assure you that I am straight. Because, I appreciate the women, all the women. And Playboy has been able to help us in that sense to better relate and further our appreciation for the female species. The females, the women, the beautiful ladies. But I digress with holding a Playboy. That I am straight. I put most of my rage into positive, outgoing outcomes, positive drawings, positive inspirations, because I care about the women. Boobies. Vaginas. Gorgeous. very gorgeous. I'm straight. I love the women. And that should be enough to prove that I am straight. And even though it is a whole bunch of lies, I will show more affection and appreciation and care for the women. For the women. They will express their anger against it. I am straight. And to every one of them, I offer a hug. You don't have to get in person because because you can easily get that. Christian Weston Chandler, I am straight. Peace.
Hello everybody, this is Christorian Chandler coming to you live from home, and I'm gonna tell y'all some real true shit. I'll tell you what, yes, it was me on Twitter. I'm sick of the trolls. I'm sick of the hate. Hey! God dang commentary. God, we're not tolerating freaking commentary anymore. Sick of this commentary. Hateful, hurtful, spiteful commentary.
Okay, so that was a brief history of Chris Chan, and I edited it to be fair quite cruelly, and I felt kind of bad because the last thing in it is him like getting really upset, even saying the commentary upsets him, and I felt a bit guilty. But
when was that video from, Adam?
That's the one where he's upset about the commentary. That's really recent, like within the last few days.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So people have got a good impression, because not everybody that's in here is going to know about this guy. So people have got a good impression about what he's like now, and he would seem. I even suggest you sent me a link to a video before, and I said that could he be insane?
Well, he's not insane. He's just, I don't know, very, very confused, I believe. I mean, the thing is that he's not talentless. When you see that very video in the beginning when he's a kid doing his little Christian Chan show, there's something quite charming about it. But then, like, when I put the next bit in, like, he sort of went on this mad sex hunt, and so he became really susceptible to trolls. And then I don't know if he always had homosexual, or if maybe he's not homosexual at all. He's just feeding off what people have told him so long. He's a very confused individual. But yeah, I edited that first bit like quite badly because it does seem like all he's interested. And this is the thing, like we've briefly discussed his Sonichu comic books, which I found the whole library of online, and at some point, probably not today, but I didn't know if the title might get me in trouble. I thought it was a really clever title. I thought I might do some videos analysing this, reading the Sonichu comic books and call it Autistic Merit, but I don't know if people might find that offensive.
Yeah, but you can't swear now without someone writing a letter or telling you you're whatever, you know. So I wouldn't worry about that. It's nothing. I think these days, as long as you don't mean any offence by anything that you say, don't worry about it.
But to be fair, I was reading the comics. I mean, they're blatant copies of Sonic and the Pokemons. But it's not bad. His art style is kind of childish, but it's better than probably what I could do, to be honest.
I think he does high functioning autistic mean, and we did talk about this last night. Is that a genuine term, or has he made that up?
No, of course.
That is a genuine term.
So forgive my ignorance, but does that mean he's intelligent?
It doesn't mean he's intelligent, but it has been noted that people on the autism spectrum quite often have quite high intelligence.
So what does high functioning autistic mean?
It's like he could be intelligent in certain areas of life and maybe not very intelligent in other areas of life. It's what someone maybe
Yeah.
many years ago would have referred to as an idiot savant.
So if we say a low functioning autistic person, it would be someone whose autism is so severe that they can't function generally as a human being.
Yeah,
Is
they
that
would need
accurate?
a carer. Yeah. I mean, Chris Chan has a driving license. You know, he doesn't need to be in someone's care. He's a fully fledged adult, I believe. So
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, and I'm certainly not an expert on this, but it's a very big spectrum, the spectrum of autism, and it also manifests in different ways in different people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that from experience. So many people in the past have said to me, "You're not autistic. I've seen Rain Man, and you're nothing like Dustin Hoffman."
But if you don't mind me saying, Mark, you have Asperger's. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Could you also forgive my... Sorry, Adam.
I just want to know what Mark's opinion on when Chris Chan said that Asperger's people were taking the limelight away from autistic people, and he hates people with Asperger's.
Well, personally, I think that's like just one person's
But it's a
way
very
of-
ill-informed view. Would you consider Asperger's to be on the autism scale, or is it a separate thing?
It is.
Right.
It is on the autism spectrum.
Well, Mark, because I think why it's interesting to have you on is it gives us a different perspective into his character and what makes him who he is. Would you mind, like, explaining to me and to everybody who's listening the sort of your sort of brief journey through having this condition?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess if I go back to when I was really, really young, I would say starting off, some people when I was, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, I was more or less mute, and when I was about 3, I think I had to go to speech therapy people because I basically wasn't talking by that time. As I went through primary school and whatnot, people were picking up that I seemed to be very intelligent compared to the rest of the class. I mean, when I took my 11 plus, apparently I had the second or third highest result in England. So from that, I went on to a grammar school. That was a bit awkward. I found that very difficult to go through. And I wasn't actually diagnosed until my early 30s. So
why did you find it difficult, particularly just interacting socially, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of social issues that people with autism have. I mean, some of them can be autistic people can appear to be zoned out and not paying attention to others, but really it's as if the other person hasn't triggered something inside them to let the person with autism know that they're there. And so, I mean, somebody can be talking to a person with autism and they just won't know until sometimes it's too late, or being deemed as
was that in regards to Chris Chan himself? His dad had a very dim view of sort of modern therapies. Well, I don't know if therapies is the right word, but he just thought if people were autistic, they would be lobotomized or put in straitjackets. He had a very old-fashioned view of the world, and that's why. But yet Chris was diagnosed at a young age as being autistic, I believe. But I mean, for yourself, Mark, did you ever find like? I mean, the thing I always think about Chris is he still did create and write these comic books. I mean, they're very few and far between. It. Did you have some kind of creative outlet or something that other people might have considered a stranger hobby besides scouting, of course?
Well, yeah. All through my life, I've had what I could consider rather unique hobbies and interests. Everything from, I don't know, playing a theremin to owning a DeLorean. All these seem to be like
yeah, we
niche
discussed
stuff.
this before. The DeLorean.
When can I come round?
Yeah. We'll get some bananas to put in the tank, although I'm sure it doesn't work like in Back to the Future. So how familiar are you, Mark, with the Chris Chan story? Because it's always good to get some new people's opinions. Just because I'm very deep in this rabbit hole, and every day I can find more information that's just incredible. Whether it's correct or not, and the ethical thing, it's still entertaining.
Yeah, I first heard of him when he did that pepper spray incident at the shop.
Yeah, the GameStop.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, then I went a while without like hearing anything from him at all, and then more or less been doing like research on the old Sonic shoe and other stuff when you started to do these streams about him.
So have you not like followed him?
No, I've not followed him like religiously. I mean, I've known about him, and I thought, yeah, he's just a bit, but
what's your opinion on his deciding to be seen as a woman, or his transitioning to a woman? I'm not exactly clear on what's your opinion on that?
Has he had any, sorry to interrupt, Adam, but has he had any operations or anything?
No, he's done some pretty fucked up things, though.
Like what?
Like he got his, I can't even remember what the word for it is, but he got his perineum pierced.
You got his what pierced?
His perineum.
The fuck's that?
The area between, like, under your ball sack leading to your arse crack.
I thought that was your scrotum.
Your scrotum, perineum.
Right, he got that.
It's called something else when it's pierced as well. There's another word for it.
But he's not had any operations to make.
What I heard, and I don't know if this is true, and of course this could be slanderous, which is why I've kind of put the disclaimer in the description today.
Oh, no one cares, man.
Yeah.
What I've heard is that he got his perineum, or his what did you call it, Andy? I've forgotten. Scrotum. Yeah, scrotum pierced. Twice, and it got infected, and then apparently just cut a hole in it, like, because he thought he'd be able to use it like a vagina.
Belting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, this guy's not just the trolls have tricked him into like showing all of these things. If you really dig deep enough, you can find pictures of it and online and stuff. I mean, how you told me you were watching a bit more of the documentary today, weren't you, Andy? And
yes.
I don't know how far you've got. If you've got to the bit where I don't know if it's even actually touched on, or if he's got there in the documentary. And I recommend it again because it's kind of the reason that I think a lot of people are now falling back into Christine Chan's delicious rabbit hole.
I've always known that area as a gooch, and I've noticed
that's
that
what they called it, a gooch piercing. Yeah, but I was just
Fizz has also mentioned it in the chat.
Check out the Gino Samuel 2 documentary on Chris Chan. It's really good. But at one point, the trolls, they even get him to fuck his PlayStation. I mean, it's insane. And like recording. And he's saying the name, and it's quite strange because when you listen to it, I'm not sure which came first, but he's saying the name of his sweetheart at the time, who of course was a troll, but her name's Julie, and the way he says it, he goes like Julie. It reminds me of Timmy from South Park. Timmy. And I mean, it's a terrible thing to do to someone, but it is, that part as well was quite funny. But yeah, so I don't know why I've brought up his perineum, but
maybe that's your interest in him. It's not like his craziness or any of the social commentaries. It's just in his scrotum.
Just want to see his scrotum. Just can't get enough of that scrot. I'm totes about the scrotes.
It's all about the ball bag.
Crazy about the Navy. That's an in Christian joke, if you know what Navy.
Even Niaj.
But Christian, I mentioned last night, refers to his semen as Navy, and at times he also mixes it with soda and drinks it.
Ugh. Disgusting.
Yeah, it's fucking mental. Because like I don't know if he does these things now, but these were things he used to do. He was worried about his semen dying off, so he was recycling them.
Just a random question: has Ralph Wiggum got autism?
He's a fictional character.
I'm aware of that.
Have you got autism, Andy?
Have I got it?
Because sometimes I do wonder.
Well, I'm pretty... No, I don't think so. It's never been suggested up until this very moment, so if I do...
That is surprising.
You're a fucking cheeky bastard, you.
But anyway, yeah, so back on to Christian.
We didn't explore my question.
Possibly would be the answer. Possibly, Andy.
Oh right, well that's conclusive then. Let's move on.
Well, we're not doing a stream about whether Ralph Wiggum is autistic.
I thought that was the whole topic of this.
Which proves my point.
It's funny listening to your reaction. You're like, you're like, I'm joking on my own rage here.
Yeah. I'm a virgin with rage. Wow. That silenced the room. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's done some pretty weird. I mean, he is, I suppose, what you'd say, a sexual deviant, and I don't know if this.
What, Ralph Wiggum?
Yeah, yes, Ralph Wiggum. You have a lot in common with Ralph Wiggum, but
anyway, the doctor said I wouldn't have had so many nosebleeds if I kept my finger out of there.
Right, let's not get off topic here. This is going to be a serious stream about things. It's going to be a serious stream about gooch piercings, semen drinking.
Is Lorne Armstrong a virgin with rage? That's what Johnny Utah's just asked.
Johnny Utah's probably correct. Well, you discussed that at length, Andy, didn't you? You often thought about Lorne's virginity.
I did think that it was a possibility, but
you taking it will always be a pipe dream.
Yeah, but no, I don't think Lorne. I'm pretty damn sure Lorne has had medial experience.
Yeah,
but anyway, this isn't about. We'll do a long Christian comparison on my video another time. Sorry, my channel another time.
Yeah. We can do an Andrew Burkitt Christian comparison. Not
on my channel, we won't.
On my channel, when you're not here, just be like, who handles trolls better? Who would you rather hang out with? Christian.
Fair enough. I think I'd sooner hang out with Christian than myself, to be honest.
That's exactly the sort of thing Christian would say. This is getting confusing now. I don't know where Chris Chan ends and Andrew Burkett begins. It's like Inception.
Well, I'm nipping to the lavatory anyway.
All right. Well, make sure you take some soda to mix it with.
Ew.
Right, sorry, we've been ripping on the horrible things, but anyway, if you well, I suppose you have access to Google in front of you, Mark. So if you take a quick look at this, see, just type in Sonichu Volume 0 and have a look at the drawings. I don't think they're terrible. I mean,
I did see the original Sonichu stuff. I saw them about a week ago.
I mean, the drawings themselves, taken as face value, are not terrible. They're not incredible, but they're kind of cute, I suppose. The weird thing is, I believe, sort of, he abused all of his comic book characters in a way by because he was so desperately trying to prove his heterosexuality. He decided the best way to do that would be to draw all these characters having sex with one another, and then he also got in big trouble with one of his real friends. This is like the first of his sort of love sagas gone bad, isn't it? Do you know about this story?
Well, I know that he used people in real life in his comic books, but I haven't seen to what extent yet. Yeah,
well, at one point he drew a picture of him fingering a girl, giving a thumbs up. Then people claimed, because it looked like he drew his fictional daughter into the Sonichu comic books, and then it looked like her, so people claimed that he was incestuous. So to defend this, he came out and said, it's not my daughter, it's a picture of me fingering my friend Megan, who wasn't interested in him sexually. So she got quite angry, I believe, and cut off all contact. There's you can see kind of all the emails between them as well, and all the way through she's sort of saying, "Stop being so creepy when you're around me." But yeah, so he drew this picture, he's drawn this cartoon. It's almost disappointing because you see the first issue of it and you're like, this, it's a good creative outlet, and then he sort of defiles all of his own characters, and then also does it to people in real life by drawing them into his comic book and sort of his fantasies that can often be quite bizarre and violent of what he would like to do to these people. So it's strange because he gives everyone the ammunition to troll him, but some of the lengths people have gone to is a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, when did the Sonic Chew comics and whatnot start? I was just thinking because there are websites that people go to upload their art and whatnot, like DeviantArt, for example. I thought it seems to be like a bit similar to that. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen DeviantArt.
The thing is, because I've been looking through a lot of forums, reading about the Chris Chan stuff, and DeviantArt comes up a lot of the time. People often say it, but I'm not really familiar with the site itself. But I came across Sonichu, the animated series, and this is the length. So, I suppose in a way you would almost consider it. Well, it's very unflattering in the cartoon itself, but there's a thing called Sonichu, the animated series, and basically it's voiced and it's really well drawn and everything, like a proper cartoon. But it's fucking really offensive and horrible. All the characters fuck each other and stuff, and Chris Chan is a character in it, and they draw him really not very flatteringly.
So it's some kind of Chris Chan hentai thing.
Chris Chan, oh Jesus, don't say that. Well, that's something else I've come across while doing this. Apparently, it's called Rule 34.
Oh yeah, Rule 34 and Rule 35. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
familiar
Rule
with those.
35 at all. Well,
Well,
I'll tell you, maybe I'm wrong, but Rule 34.
basically,
Oh, sorry.
if Rule 34 doesn't exist for a subject, Rule 35 states wait 10 minutes and go back to Rule 34.
Okay. But yeah, isn't Rule 34? It means like there is pornography of everything in the world somewhere or something.
Yeah.
And so they call like Chris's drawings of his own characters Rule 34 drawings. But yeah, I mean, it's very strange that he. If you drew these characters and then you started drawing them sexually, would you not? It is very questionable of character. But then it was kind of in regards to people saying that he was homosexual. He thought the best way to fight that was to say, "Look at my hedgehogs fucking each other. I can't be a homo." I don't know, man. The story is funny, but yet tragic, and yet ongoing. And that's one of the things I've said for a long time. Like, you know, things that can seem off color at the time can become funny later. But the thing with Chris Chan is we still don't know where this story could go and how it's going.
Well, it's like what they say: comedy is tragedy over time, or something. I'm not sure of the correct equation.
That's the comedy. No, tragedy plus comedy. Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the sort of most intriguing questions for me is, and obviously, Mark, you should be able to have a better understanding of this than me and Adam. Well, maybe not actually, but how much of his current situation is attributed to his condition? We don't know exactly because only he knows. Well, you can't know exactly how much of this condition he has and how severe it is, but you can get an impression from watching him interact, even when he was younger on certain videos.
Autism is a very broad spectrum, and it seems like his autism, or this is just my opinion, and I'm not any kind of psychologist or anything, but his autism sort of manifests.
You're not? Well, fuck me.
Well, manifests in kind of a... he doesn't really know how to socially interact properly, but yet he shows enough awareness of people and things around him. So I don't...
Yeah.
There was a really profound statement that someone made in, I think it was part 2. Or it might be, it's either part 2 or part 3 of the comprehensive history of Chris Chan, which I'm going through at the minute, which is very interesting. And do you remember the bit where he was like pacing up and down this shop inside a mall?
Yeah, the girl wrote an essay about it, yeah.
One of the employees said something about him, and she said something along the lines of, he's aware of how much he isn't aware. In other words, he's aware of how much his autism restricts him. So he understands that he doesn't understand. She worded it better than I've just worded it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, he's aware of his limitations. But that's, again, that all comes down to mentality, and that's her opinion. He's aware of his limitations, but he could have gone out and got a normal job. I don't think his autism affects him enough that it shouldn't. And I think he would have matured, but yeah, it's kind of a sad thing if you say, well, he's aware of his limitations. I mean, a lot of people are aware of their limitations. It's whether or not he wants to blame it on his autism.
I mean, what do you think, Matt?
I think that his autism plus his upbringing. I think his upbringing has also had a lot of influence on his mannerisms. Because if you think about his parent, the way he was brought up with his parents and whatnot, it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't know anything about his half brothers and half sister, because wasn't his father and mother had kids from previous marriages or something?
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure on that.
he has a half brother, yeah, who really disliked his father.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they turned out, but
no, I think he was mollycoddled and he was kind of given it. And actually, what you mentioned, Mark, about not talking as a child, that's something that Chris did do. He didn't talk until he was about 6 years old. So
yeah,
but I think he was mollycoddled and he was given all these toys and he was spoiled. And I mean, he is very much sort of a man child, isn't he? I mean, he still buys toys and things at that age, and I can understand to an extent, like people that buy collector's toys. If I had the money, I'd like to buy some boxed Walking Dead figures and not ever take them out of the box. But like he buys toys and plays with them still and stuff.
yeah.
And yeah, he's never really grown up, and I think now he's sort of fallen into this world of when no one really knows who they are anymore, but a lot of people this world I probably don't understand, but where boys can be girls and girls can be boys, and people go to My Little Pony conventions and
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've lost count of how many genders there are supposed to be now.
yeah, well, that's a discussion for another time, but
True.
Have you heard about them groups of people that like to pretend they're babies?
I think that sexual fantasy has been around for a long time. I remember seeing an episode of. Do you remember that? What was that late night TV thing with Jean Paul Gaultier? No, not Jean Paul.
Eurotrash.
Yeah, Eurotrash. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I remember seeing them on one of the episodes of that.
Yeah.
Never has a TV show been so appropriately titled than that.
Thing with sometimes because I was a kid when that was on TV, so you'd just stay up late to see the tits, but then you'd end up seeing like people painting with shit.
You'd end up seeing lots of knobs as well, which wasn't nice. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so I think that as a fetish has been around for quite some time. But this sort of the bronies and the furries and the things, I think some people who are into those hobbies, it's completely not asexual. But I think with Chris, I think because he's talked about sex and done so much weird things throughout his life, you can't help but wonder if this is the biggest ploy ever, or maybe if he's just trolling everyone back.
Can I just point out a comment that the first Mrs. R's made, and hello, by the way, and she's always been very astute in her observations, in my opinion. She said Chris is more a product of being indulged in his condition than anything else, and that brings up like an interesting point, doesn't it? In other words, he mentions it quite a lot, doesn't he? Yeah. Whenever he's talking, it's like he plays on it, doesn't he? Quite a lot.
Well, I think at one time he thought he could, or the impression I got was that he kind of thought he could be like the poster boy for autism and show like, look what I can do. I can make my Sonitude comics, and it's a bit of a shame that he didn't maybe understand the difference. Well, maybe no one would have ever heard of him, but if he didn't understand how societal normalities say you shouldn't make your love quest public to everyone. If it's like what we mentioned last night, you know, you show people your weaknesses, especially on the internet, and they will pounce on them. And because,
but does he truly get that though?
Well, I think to an extent he was trying to manipulate his power on the internet to get himself some China.
It does, but he is clearly got. There's no question that he's got a lot of responsibility to own up to for his situation, but it still doesn't justify the amount of trolling and downright bullying that he's been subjected to. Because it's just like I said on the stream last night. with people like him, there will always be a group of people on YouTube that can't wait to pounce on people that say something silly or something slightly controversial. I mean, look at them freaks that made that video about me when I said something that was apparently sexist. They just people love it, don't they? Because it gives them something to whinge about. And with him, he says that many crazy things that people can't wait to throw their anger around and condemn someone. And it's never, I don't think it's ever justified. There's a certain way going about things. And what was that? Was it that video I sent you today, Adam? It was a link to a video where he's saying, it might have been something you sent me yesterday, where he was like going, "Stop all the hate, I'm sick of it." Like,
I showed that at the beginning of this stream.
All right, okay. Well, I wasn't watching that, but yeah, but he's you're never going to get away from it. You're never going to stop the people that do that, but it still doesn't make it right, does it?
No, but I mean, there's traps not to fall into. And I suppose he started being on the internet quite early on and stuff, and people are a lot more aware of catfishes and that sort of thing these days. But he does get repeatedly catfished, and it's always like whenever he does something foolish, it's normally related to him trying to get to some woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rocket has made a good point and said that, what's normal now anyway. In other words, I kind of like the world's getting more and more complicated, isn't it? With each passing week.
Do you think, okay, let's ask you both a question. Do you think it's possible that this whole Chris becoming Christine is basically trolling? Could he have the intelligence to be doing this, or maybe intelligence isn't the right word I'm looking for, mischievousness to be playing a game with everyone?
What you mean, the changing sex thing is just a game?
He just thought, my theory is he thinks he'll get closer to more women by doing it. I mean, the amount he went on about them, but then when I was watching the stuff that I edited earlier, I was like, well, he's so vehemently saying that he's straight. He keeps having to repeat that he's straight. I mean, you must have a bit of...
Yeah. It seems like he's overcompensating for some possible latent homosexuality.
Well, if that's what he's getting into now, and that's what he wants, fair enough. I mean, he's offering blowjobs for $50, and I hope he does. Maybe if anyone in the chat wants to take him up on that.
This Rocker's made another good point as well as being, pretty fit. She's also quite clever. Is he doing it for attention? Because it is something that we talked about. Because is it being in the YouTube world, you get addicted to the attention. Because even I found when my channel was deleted, I was like, shit, I've got no creative outlet in it. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, with him, is it just attention?
I think he maybe enjoys the attention, but it could be more. I don't know, because some of the things I've seen, he doesn't come across terrible. It's like he's trying to open his mind a bit now and sort of be a bit. I don't know if he really has a full understanding of politics and stuff. He was very against Trump because I think of Trump's views on the LGBT community.
Isn't everybody against Trump?
I think everybody in mainstream media seems to be against Trump, and if you're for Trump, you end up being taken off of YouTube and shunned on social media and stuff like that.
Okay,
that's only my personal opinion. Okay, it's not any.
I don't really get into politics or anything like that, but he's not pro-Trump. Harvard. He said, that he kicked a transformer around and pretended it was Trump, or Permert as he likes to call him, because he puts evil people's names backwards. Like the villain in his Solitude comic books is called Nietzsche. which is his name backwards. But then other people from his life, such as Clive Cash, appear in the comic book when him and Sonichu destroy the 4 cent garbage building, which is based on 4chan. He's going to 4chan
Oh, right.
because they all work in an office together. So Chris Chan goes in there and destroys it. Or, sorry, Sonichu goes in there and destroys it. I haven't actually got that far in the comics yet, so I may not have got it completely correct.
You're actually reading this comics,
Yeah.
like.
I've only started the first issue today, though.
How did you get them?
I just typed in Sonichu issue 0 and I found it, and you just click and it goes to the next page. It's brilliant. I think they're all on there.
What do you find entertaining about it?
You can get, well, I know from seeing all this information, all these documentaries, like where this goes, and these comics, they start out kind of normal and playful, and then they, because of the trolling, all this stuff then starts spilling into the comics. There's also all these like weird sexual things that happen in it, like when Chris is trying to prove his heterosexuality, his characters within the comics start fucking each other and stuff. So that's why I'm very curious to read it and see sort of how the comic goes from being something milquetoast to becoming something degrading.
Interesting. You know,
Well,
with the oh, sorry, were you going to say something?
Go on, man.
I was just thinking with like the transition of Christine Chan, or whatever he or she or it wants to call itself, Sonichu. Did he ever like give Sonichu a gender?
Yeah, Sonichu's a boy, and he's in love with Rosachu. Rosachu is his girlfriend.
Okay, right. So we may see a comic in future where he's going through some kind of change and becomes Sonic Chouette or whatever.
That's a good point. Is he still doing his comics?
Yeah, well, it's people pay his Patreon. It's one of the things on it, but I believe he gets very far behind and doesn't put them out as often as he should. I think there's only, and I might be wrong on this, I think there's still less than 20 issues, and he started it over 14 years ago.
Wow.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, but I think like a lot of the trolls sort of they pretended to be sort of fans who were fans of his comics because they were autistic, and I don't know if at some point he sort of like said, "Look at this, it's great. I'm autistic. I've done it," which would have been commendable if he didn't take such a weird, shady sexual turn. Although I'm waiting to judge the comics, and we'll do some more chats like this in the future because I want to read them and I want to see how it goes, and then try and link those parts with other bits that I've seen online of his sort of his ranting. I mean, there has been channels set up before where people do comedy rants, and if he could be a bit, I don't know if maybe he just is trolling everyone now, but that rant, like, it was painful to watch, not because I felt sorry for him, although on occasion I can't say I don't feel sympathetic, but it was painful to watch because it was just him sort of wailing. It was like, it's not fun to watch this. And like, if he did proper rants and getting angry, which we've seen he's capable of, it could be a fairly entertaining person.
Well, clearly he's already an person.
Yeah, but you should be able to. I guess you'll always get the trolls and stuff, and like I've been reading sort of some boards of places. I won't mention where, but some people just really hate him or despise him, and I suppose because we've only sort of come into following this from the start, there's been nothing that's happened. I mean, I wouldn't advise making any kind of direct contact with Chris team, but you don't know the ins and outs of everything. Even the documentaries don't cover. I don't understand why the trolls go to the lengths they do, to be honest. I understand some sort of fun trolling, but some people seem to just want to like get the most embarrassing, horrible thing to. I mean, I completely forgot about this as well. Like someone got him to shove his Sonichu medallion up his arse.
Yeah, but there'll always be people like that, won't there, Adam? It's like, look at that.
What, people
I'm not
that
privy.
shove medallions up their arses?
No, I mean people that will take it as far as they can. It's like I'm not privy to exactly what happened, but I believe that Stanley Kendall fella, that horrible teacher from TCAP, they made him smear shit all over himself on camera. I don't quite understand why you want to do that to anybody and why it's entertaining. And it's the same with,
Well,
this
for
guy.
some people, that kind of fecal activity is a turn on, and there are actually like
Can we not
certain
talk about
websites.
scat?
I didn't want to use the word.
Yeah, but I prefer to just say that word than to talk about fecal activity. Oh.
That's a very dignified way of putting it. So rather than saying, excuse me, I'm going for a shit, you could say, excuse me, I have some fecal activity to attend to.
I guess.
I mean, who did you go up to and say, excuse me, I'm taking a shit to anyway?
Everybody, when I need to do that. Whether it be a business meeting, whether it be I'm in a church or whatever it is.
I mean, right, because you don't actually use the bathroom, you just sit there and do it in your pants.
Yeah, have you ever seen Borat?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, enough. I was trying to turn the topic away from that, and we just got deeper into it.
Well, you've failed, haven't you?
But yeah, so he did that for someone. Someone trolled him into shoving the thing up his ass. But then, like, he offered information to people. It's quite strange, like, how much information he offers to people and tells people. Like, it's almost as if I was thinking about. Have you seen 8 Mile?
No.
Okay, have you seen 8 Mile, Mark?
I've only seen bits of it. I haven't seen it all the way through.
All right, we're in the last rap
what's
battle.
that?
It's the Eminem movie, which
Yeah.
is sort of loosely based on his life. Yeah, but at the end, like, because he keeps getting nervous when he's trying to do the rap battle. So at the end, he's like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say all of my weaknesses in my rap to get there first. And it's like Chris Chan does that, but he says the things that no one should ever tell someone else. Like that he ordered some anal beads to see how it feels. So like, so then people get this information on him, and they're like, "What the fuck?" Because apparently, he got to. I think he orders a lot of stuff off sex websites, and he gets like free vibrators and anal beads, and then just tries them out for a laugh.
Well, that's different.
well, that's the way, from what I've heard, it's been made out, but. Yeah, so I think he was always quite sexually devious and weird, but yeah, he told everyone, this information wasn't even private. I believe if you really want to, you can see all the videos of all things he's done. So,
do you think it could possibly be obviously it is sexual deviancy, but could it be due to him not understanding correct social protocol when it comes to sexual activity?
Well, this is the thing. It's kind of a recurring theme. If you look back at his life, like he refers to pornography as educational videos, and there's a lot of weird little things like that.
Ah, right.
So I don't know. I think because if you guys are happy to, we'll continue a bit more on Chris Chan when I've got a bit more information. I want to start doing this series, actually having a look at the Sonichu and chatting about that. But as it's getting a bit late here, I'm probably going to wrap things up because I think we've covered most of the recent topics I wanted to. I don't want us to sort of fall into the same ethical trolling debate every night. I think we've managed to pass on a little bit more information. Of course, we don't encourage. Well, I can't speak for you two. I don't encourage bullying of any kind, but a little bit of piss taking out of anyone that's on the internet is.
Well, according to YouTube, I certainly do.
Well, yeah, you are. Yeah, you encourage bullying. So yeah, if you ever get in trouble, just blame it on Andy. He is a rebel. If If you're ever in Manchester and you see a man wearing a T-shirt that says I'm not a proctologist, but I'll take a look," that's Andy.
But
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us, everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining me, Andy and Mark.
okay, thanks for having me here.
I hope you enjoyed it, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye.